I'm here with Roger Huston talking about his new book, The Voice, The Unparalleled Life of Roger Huston, written by Victoria Howard. Roger, thank you for being here. Tell us, how did this collaboration start?
Vicki was one of the first guests on the Meadows Racing Network, the TV show that I do at the Meadows. She was with me one whole night, so it's been a friendship that we've had for all over 40 years. She's written a lot of books over the years around horses and animals and books for youngsters and some adult books as well. But my son-in-law said, well, why haven't you ever written a book? And I said, well, never thought about it. And first person I called was Vicki, and it was a no-brainer that she would be the one that I'd collaborate with writing the book. It took us about 5 months.
Now, Roger, you dedicated this book to your daughter. Can you tell us why?
Well, I feel guilty to a degree because I have not been the normal parent that you're supposed to be. You ask a politician or anybody, they'll always say, because it's politically correct, that family comes first. I'm not saying my family doesn't come first, but harness racing and announcing races come first for me, and they always have. Thank goodness my daughter understood and accepted that, and she came to Delaware a lot with me in county fairs and gone to state fairs and traveled with me when she was growing up. So she knew what harness racing meant to me, and she accepted it. I've missed birthday parties, I've missed anniversaries, I've missed some weddings because to me, harness racing had to be number one. And thank goodness she accepted that. Well, it's a big part of my life because it's been so for 60 years. And I've known and met people worldwide, and believe it or not, on Facebook, I got the maximum number of friends that you can have, 2 accounts and such. And the vast majority of them, they come up to me and they tell me their name, and I can tell them where they're from and stuff like that. I've got a fairly good memory. So yes, it is like a big family, everybody that you meet and work with and associate with all the time.
The harness racing community is a family too, isn't it, Roger? Can you tell us about some of the special people, like your friend Sam, and why they mean so much to you?
You really want to get me all crying and everything, don't you? Sam came to the jug when he was 6 years old. And he left the jug that day and told his mom and dad, I want to be an announcer. Sam started writing me letters when he was 9 or 10.
This is in the book.
And I'd get a letter and I'd answer it back, and I'd get another letter, about 3 days later, from him. He would go to county fairs and back of the grandstand, call races, send them to him, one thing about it. I finally met him when he was 10, I believe. I moved up here, living in Pennsylvania, and I met him at the Jug. And when he was 14, he said, I'd like to come and spend a week with you. And I said, well, that'd be great. So about 3 days later, knock on the door. It was Sam. He had hitched a ride with some friends from Linden, Michigan. And at 14, he announced his first race on a PA system at the Meadows. And I wanted to get him a job. So I called Bobby Williams, who was the speed superintendent at the Clinton County Fair in Wilmington, and said, have you got an announcer this year? And he says, no, are you coming? And I says, no, I'm not coming, but I got one for you. And he said, who is it? And I said, Sam McKee. I never heard of him. I said, that's because he's only 14 years old. What do I have to pay him? And I said, $50 a night. 50? I'm not paying any 14-year-old kid $50 a night to announce horse races. I said, yes, you are, because you're going to get more than that in publicity. Well, Sam went on to do some other county fairs for me, Ashton for one, and a few others in Ohio. And he eventually became the announcer at Raceway Park, Saginaw, Michigan, Ladbroke, DRC in Detroit, on to the Meadowlands in New Jersey, the Red Mile in Lexington. And he died at the age of 56, massive stroke.
And you helped him achieve his dream.
It was rough. Yeah. It still is. The first year after he died, every race that I announced, I would think of Sam. Eventually it got out of it, but to this day, and it's been like 3 or 4 years now, I still can't talk about him without getting all teared up. He meant a lot to me, and I always felt he was the son that I never had.
All right, we're going to lighten things up a little bit, Roger. There was a race, I think it was Pompano Park. Tell us how that went.
Cowboys out in the West that have quarter horses that race, they don't have the rules of naming horses like we do in harness racing. And this one horse showed up by the name of Bull Sit.
Bull Sit.
Now I can say bull sit, bull sit, bull sit, bull sit, bull sit, bull sit all day long and never make a mistake. But the general manager would call me tonight for every race that he was in, and he said, "Now be sure you say it right. I don't want anybody thinking you're saying something else." At that point in my career, I could memorize a field of horses in about 15 seconds. And bull sit was the type of horse that always went right to the front. And this other horse, dead last and would come on strong. And I can now say out of 180,000 races, it's probably the only race that I never finished. Because what do you say at the top of the stretch with an eighth of a mile to go when you got bull sit on top and scoop it up is second.
Love it. Well, we're going to close this up with all the excitement leading to Delaware and a little tradition that you started. You usually do it on Saturday morning.
Oh, well, we're going to start that tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning?
Yeah, it's first time I've ever been there on Friday.
Okay.
7:30 on the button. Good morning, Delaware!
We're going to end it with that. Thank you so much, Roger Huston.